5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Stand by for the broadcast, ladies and gentlemen. Get ready for the forbidden history they didn't want you to know that we tell right here. Please note that the following views and the opinions expressed in this program are not necessarily the views nor the opinions of the Master Force Group, YouTube.com, Free America Radio Network, our sponsors, our partners, and MFG is a private society, and nothing here is ever to be construed as medical, hate, nor legal advice. And listen to the Forbidden History prime time 7 days a week right here on the realpublicradio.net, because hidden beneath the sands of time lies the greatest of all mysteries. It's the Forbidden History. Unearth for yourself the secret truths that lie hidden just beneath the surface below our feet. What is it that the powers that be do not want you or I to know? Come and journey with us as we explore and dare to know, because it's all right here, coming your way 7 days a week somewhere out there on YouTube.com, Forbidden History Live, and Ninja Cat 111, the Forbidden History Chronicles. What they didn't want you to know, as you know, that we tell right here. And time still to call your friends, ladies and gentlemen. Go call your friends. After all, you wanted to know. It's Saturday somewhere out there. And yeah, okay? Stand by for the broadcast. And hey there, Shannon. Good to have you. Lynn and me. I'm on there too. How did that happen? Okay, and Shelly out there, our Yogeneer. Okay, new title today for her. And so coming to you live from Studio Z at the Lighthouse in Central Ohio and Free America Radio Network in the land of dreams, enchantments, and nightmares is Forbidden History Live. What they didn't want you to know that we tell right here. And the book of Hebrews, ladies and gentlemen, part 3, the cap off, and a whole lot more. So stand by for the broadcast. You did tell your friends? Go get them right now. And welcome to the broadcast, ladies and gentlemen. And what a world, isn't it? Yes. Let me pinch myself. Oh, it still hurts. So I guess we're still here. Okay. Yeah, we have to make lemonade out of lemons, of course, and want to welcome all of our 6-pack again. Every day it's a 6-pack. I can't get over it. We're gonna have to stop that and get on to bigger and better things. Yeah, every now and then I actually have a 6-pack just to loosen up. You know, I figure I dedicated my life to telling truth and putting myself on the line. So I figured I deserve a break every now and then too. You know, but we need to be revolutionaries in our thinking and figure out how to get others on board here. You know, because there's people that actually think they can save the world, and you can't save the world. It's lost. It's gone. It's dead. It's over. It was from the beginning, because it was anything that has a beginning has an end. Okay, it was determined that it was gonna die one day, but as soon as man came here, he found out he was dead. You know, because the firstborn are born into the lower realm. They're born into the deep darkness of the illusion, the grand illusion, the delusion, and so that's where the term the second born comes from. And welcome to the broadcast, everybody. I'm your host, Dezert-Owl, and we have to learn how to see and read things for ourselves, and to see things in a way we've never seen them before, because the disinformation out there is so great. You know, it is just even it's funny, because even Buddha, he told his followers he was very much a type of a Christ, just like Socrates was, just like Confucius was, just like Lao Tzu was. And Buddha, he said, hey, don't you ever make an image of me. He told him he tried every. He was a warfaring prince. He was in a the true sense of the word, a compound where they want to tell any one of us when we're living in a home we're in a compound when they come and kill us. But he was in a legitimate compound protecting the Aryan Brotherhood of that day in India, and he was a redhead spotted Celtic warrior. And then one day he was kept in a compound to protect him from seeing what was out there. How come you're having this party in here? And then he goes out one day and sees the poor people in the streets, and he's like, whoa, what is going on? Whoa, wait a minute. I'm in there drinking wine, champagne, having caviar, got a harem of women, and all the luxuries I could ever ask for. And these people are right outside my door, suffering, starving, wounds all over their body, and so he said, no, wait a minute, this isn't right, and so it worked in him, and he literally walked away from power, wealth, a family, his little ones, everything. He walked away. Now tell me that's not because he wanted to find the true meaning about life. Hey Ninja, good to have you. So so literally, the Buddha gets a bad rap because what happened was after he had established a free thinking following within Hindustan, then what happens is the Aryans who wanted to dominate the world take over, through their Hindu boogaboo, and then they create a new version of Buddhism because Buddhism was not a it was just the philosophy, no different than Confucianism was a philosophy. There wasn't Nobody was supposed to follow Confucius, and they really don't like they do Buddha because they, as you notice in India, what they're big at is creating idols. So they create idols of images of Buddha, and so that's how it gets corrupted. Nobody. Uh, well, I wouldn't say nobody, but at least in the West, most people are not inclined, to want to follow it. In the East, it's different. But when we're raised on cornflakes and whatever, then obviously we're very easily influenced. I was always amazed, when as I told my story about how I hitchhiked around, the country. I used to hitchhike to school before I hitchhiked across America, and so whenever I would every now and then I'd get a ride from somebody. He's driving his hippie mobile, and he's got a picture of some guru in India, with dark eyes and long hair, and I'm like, who's this guy? He said, oh, that's my guru. Oh, really? Yeah, and I couldn't get over that people would be following another guy, as if, okay, well, you're a guy, he's a guy, you think he's, you know what I'm saying, that he's your guru. And so, okay, so I guess the guy knows something maybe, but it never looked like it. They looked pretty freaky to me, the way they were all dressed in flowers and all that stuff. And so idolatry, of some other individual. So I'm just so grateful that I knew that there was only one true guru, and that's of course the one who made all things, the entire universe. I'm so grateful that I could identify with his spirit because we're not allowed to make images of him. That's what it says. Read in First, Second, Third John. My little children, stay away from all idols and images. Okay, images are false. Other than when we're talking about, of course, making images of the one, of the divine, or from that standpoint, because he is spirit, and therefore nobody knows what Yeshua looks like, and therefore any image would be a false image. And so it is a really convoluted, world with so many different approaches to our being here, and I just my heart goes out to anybody who hasn't connected with the Redeemer. It's our only hope. This thing that came out of India, of course, the first big antithesis to what we call Christianity today with the Moeshiach, the Yeshua. What we find in India is the Shivaism. Shiva, you can hear, sounds just like Yeshua, Shiva, Shua. You see, because it is the first false image of the Moshiach who was destined to come at the end of the world, which was 2,000 years ago, according to Hebrews. But it was really the end of an age, not the end of the world. But things changed back then because of what Yeshua did by bringing to fulfillment the intention of creation, which was to create a perfect creation, not a screwed up, not a a corrupt, like, okay, the purpose of creation in perfecting. Let's look at our makeup. Our bodies are not our bodies perfect. I mean, what they do. Come on, it's a universe all by itself, right? It's a microcosm of a macrocosm, and it's a macrocosm of another microcosm. We're right in the middle. We're in the middle between the atom and the sun. We are dead center between both, and it's part of the great mystery. But what he came was to beyond creating the perfect physical form that can give us sustenance and an ability to then have our spirit learn and grow. He came to his purpose was to then perfect our spirit and to show us the way, and that's what he did. He showed us the way. He perfected the spirit for us by himself, by who he was. He said, go tell that fox, Herod, that today and tomorrow I'm learning to be a sacrifice, and after the third day I will be perfected. So our elder brother, Yeshua, is the forerunner of showing us perfect character, the character that we're supposed to be, speak truth, and to put on a certain quality that is the essence of growing up. Where we see adults. What do we see when we see adults today? They're just like kids that are in old people's clothing. They're still immature. They're still stupid. They're still they still don't give a damn. They don't care other than what their next fix is. Just all they care about is their next ball game, or whatever it is that they're into, self-interest. But that's the animal, right? That's the animal, because we're not here to seek self-pleasure, self-entertainment. That's the lie. We're here to discover the true nature of things. And my classic saying when I was laying on a concrete slab looking at a concrete ceiling, no, in the trial of my life, I wrote the quote, once we can begin to comprehend the true nature of things, then we can begin to comprehend that there is nothing more to complain about. Okay? It's knowing the score. It's knowing the game. It's knowing the reality in the illusion and the fiction, the matrix. Neo, unplug from the matrix, and then he what's the first thing he does when he wakes up in the what was that ship called? They were in the Babylon, or what was that called? The Nebuchadnezzar. They were in the Nebuchadnezzar, of all things. It's right. And the movies they make, right? And so what's the first thing happen when he because it was thank you, Morpheus, and Morpheus is the god of dreams. He's the god of dreams, and he then he shows him the matrix, and then when he says, get me out of here, I can't, no, this can't be real. And then they unplug him, and what's the next thing that happens? He vomits. He's vomiting in the Nebuchadnezzar, and he says, and that's what it is. He's vomiting the world. It's symbolic of vomiting the world. And then he says, why do my eyes hurt? And then Morpheus tells him, because you've never used them before. Okay, so I'm going to show you one more example of this vomiting, because you got to see these things. You got to know how the metaphors of spirituality are telling a story that can help save your life for eternity, because there's no guarantees. He said, make the everlasting covenant. It says, make your calling and election sure. Make it sure. You have everything to do with your eternal spirit. And so there, when I was laying on that concrete slab, I was reading a wonderful book that was preparing me for prison, not knowing whether I was going to be going there, called "We Are All Doing Time," No, we're all doing time. My radio program was We Are All Doing Time, but this book was my inspiration. It's We're All Doing Time by Bo Lizoff from Human Kindness Foundation. You can go see the book and get it actually if you want. The Human Kindness Foundation, uh, and they're up there. It's I don't know if it's a .com or whatever. Just go look for it, and you'll see the book with the dove the chains are turning into doves and flying away. And it was to prepare people for going to prison because we're in a railroad state. We're in a world that wants to eat us alive and to bond our hides and make big money off of us on Wall Street while we suffer eternally and never able to achieve transcendence. So this story that's in the book, which was just great stuff. They had more books than that, but this was a wonderful one, and they wrote back to me too. These people are really dedicated, and you write them a letter, they write back. Sita, it was Bo's wife, and she wrote me back a wonderful letter, and they go to visit prisons and help. In there, I did several interviews with Bo, or at least one, I can't remember now, and some with his prison that got out and volunteered for his organization. Let me just take a sip here. Hang on. So in this thing about getting the world out, so in this story in the book, it talked about there was this man that was sleeping under an apple tree, and so there was all these rotten apples that were on the ground that had fallen down. So there's all these rotten apples there. And so this old sage, he's got a long white robe and a long white beard, and he's got his staff. He's walking down the trail, and he's walking past the young man sleeping under the tree. Now, sleeping under the tree is a metaphor because everybody's asleep under the tree, right? And so as he's walking down the trail, the old man, of course, represents the spirit, we could say, right? He represents the spirit, and so the old man is walking down the trail, and he looks at the young man sleeping under the apple tree, and then while he's watching him, he sees a serpent, and the serpent crawls into the man's mouth while he's sleeping and goes into his body. The whole serpent goes right into his body, and then the old man, seeing what had happened, and his heart goes out to him. He takes his walking stick and he starts beating the young man, on his body and his shoulders and on his head. And he's saying, "Come on, get up, wake up, wake up." When the young man's waking up, going, "Whoa, what's going on? Hey, why are you hitting me?" He says, "Come on, hurry up, start eating those apples. Come on, start eating them. Come on." And so the young guy, because he wanted a guy to stop beating him, started eating the apples, and he kept eating. "Come on, eat some more. Come on, don't stop. Come on." And so he's eating more apples, and all of a sudden, then the young man's like, when he's feeling sick, and then all of a sudden, and he vomits up all these rotten apples, and at the same time, while he's vomiting, all of a sudden this snake comes out of his body, and he goes, "Whoa, what is that?" And he says, "Well, you see, if I would have told you that thing was in there, you never would have believed me. So I had to get you to eat all those rotten apples so you could vomit it out. You see?" And so the rotten apples are all those things that are not very appealing to you in your life, right? The rotten apple is another metaphor for the things that happen to us in our life, and it's not pleasant. And those are the rotten apples. So we've got to be grateful for the rotten apples, because they are the things that really give us perspective on the true nature of this world and how rotten it really is. They say so that things are rotten in Denmark, and that's where the Jesuits operated the Dutch fleet. Where they're really dominating the world and using Britain as their front office. So rotten apples. Okay, if you're not having any rotten apples, then something must be wrong. Somebody don't love you, maybe. Because the Spirit loves us and is trying to get our attention. So that's what Neo did. He vomited. Interesting. Neo means new, and then you change the letters. You get one, O-N-E, and you get also Eon, which means age. So Neo had the ultimate code word for his name. And then Trinity, of course, you can get that picture, right? Trinity, which stands for Mother, Father, Son, Earth, and Moon. All of these aspects of Trinity are, in there. So reading ancient stories, ladies and gentlemen, whether they come from our are pure Christian, what we call, what we mean when we say Christian tradition, or um, go going to put a new pickup and it will go black for a second. Okay, thank you, Shelley. But so reading, for like I like to watch the documentaries on the Tibetan monks. I never want to be a Tibetan monk, but I'm inspired. I'm inspired when I can watch other people that are dedicated to their cause. And so studying the writings from other cultures just gives us a better perspective on things, and yeah, we are all doing time. And uh, and it doesn't matter whether you're on the inside or on the outside, ladies and gentlemen, because we're all doing time. And for some of us, it's hard time, and we're never going to get over the pain. We're just going to have to learn how to deal with it, and that's what we do right here, 7 days a week on Forbidden History Live. And it is the realpublicradio.net, of course. You know that because they've got all the money. We don't have any money, but we do get it done on a song, a wing, and a prayer. And you are our prayer. And glad you're tuned in. Want to welcome our new listeners. I noticed we're breaking 10 a couple times here this morning. Look at that. Actually having a revolution in listenership here. But the better world, like when I like to use the axiom, trying to make it a better world, but the only better world that we can make is the one on the inside, because the outside, it's the way it's always been, because it's a place of dichotomy, duality, and the grand deception, because there's a little bit of light, like the points of light at night in the stars, but it's predominantly dark. Okay, that's dense matter. That's what creation is. It is what we have to escape from. Okay, so that's what we have to dedicate all of our energy towards. So reading, like I've read the Trial of Socrates. Socrates never wrote anything, but was it Plato? His student, among others, then wrote everything that he had said that they remembered. And I'm convinced that Socrates was the archetype of Christ, of the Moeshiach, to use the correct term, for the Greek people, to prepare them so that when the Moeshiach came, they'd already had an example of an enlightenment mind like Socrates, and then he had to drink the cup of poison. All he was doing was asking questions. That was the whole aspect of the Socratic reasoning. Just ask questions. Just keep throwing questions at something. Eventually, if you throw enough questions at something, then guess what? You may get some answers. But of course, if you're at, the one thing about the one world order, is, they don't care what the answers are, just as long as you're asking the wrong questions. So you've got to ask the right questions. You've got to be a deep thinker. You've got to see and read things for yourself, and see things with the inner eye. On a higher level, that there is purpose. And if there is purpose, and you know that you're making a connection, then you know that something great is always around the corner, a revelation, a vision, an experience to be had by the Great One. That's his nature. He's a revealer. He's the servant hand. He's wanting to serve you, but first you have to turn completely 180 degrees towards him, and not looking back while you're holding the plow, because one who is holding the plow and looking back then is not worthy of the great revelation and of the connection that can be made, plowing in a straight row. So I don't know. It's Saturday, Saturn's Day, and that, which is a code for soul turn. And the soul turn, why? Because Saturn is way out there. It's on the farthest ring of the 7 planets and moons: Sunday, Monday, and Venus, it's Friday. So Saturn is on the outer ring of the 7 spheres, and then it comes back. So it's the soul turn, because it's turning back to the sun day, the sun at the center of all things. So it goes from Saturday to Sunday. That's the soul turn. Okay, Saturn. You see how they played the tricks on us, ladies and gentlemen. It is possible to read these Yochelleg. It's a code. They've just screwed everything up. Forgive the French, and it's up to us to straighten that serpent out and to and make it right. Okay, so I'm very glad to. I want to recommend you make the letters, "We're all doing time," the same color as the bars, Shelley. I think it would really be perfect. There's a contrast with the violet. She just created that right now. I can't get over it, but I want to see what it looks like with the bar. Call it the same color as the bars, gray. Just make if you can. If not, that's okay. We can do it later. But she is so quick to come around doing this stuff. Now I'm impressed, and so I just put my order in here. We'll see how it goes. It's okay though. It's I'm just so I was reading this morning. I was reading, and yeah, I do read, I was amazed at another revelation of all things, and it just keeps happening, especially when you keep reading. That's the secret, ladies and gentlemen. You got to keep reading, and so unto so and Shem. Okay, I got a message down here. I better see. Maybe my order's canceled. Going to put a new pick up. It will go black for a second. Oh, that was already there. She did that, I think. All right. Anyway, okay, back to the story. So to get these stories down is really key. And we read the old covenant or the book of Genesis maybe once or twice and think, well, I already read it. No, you haven't read it because you have to know it deeply. You have to memorize it. Very good, perfecto. There, Yo engineer. Okay, she got it. Yo engineer. And blends. Yeah, balance is everything. Okay, so Shem is Asham. Shem is Melchizedek. Shem is a son of Noah, but his name wasn't Noah. It was Nova. Nova. Okay, Nova means new star, and what it implies then is a new age, because after the flood, it became the second great age. That's what at means. You see, power, second great, two greats, R is a prime root for plowing also in the Indo-Germanic. And so at, the reason we're given that terminology is not because it's pointing to a mountain, but what it means subliminally is that we moved into the second great age after the flood. And now we're in the golden age of light, the third age ushered in by Yeshua at the end of the world. But so what was interesting was because I knew that Avraham came through Shem so it says here that Shem, and I'm reading Genesis 10:21, but out of the book of Yahweh that was written published 1,000 years ago, and therefore uses the Yahwistic term Yahweh, which is correctly Yahweh. And so unto Shem, Asham, the father of the children of Eber, and then right there when I read Eber this morning, I saw it. It's Avor, and because Av is the star. Okay, the star. Put the Av together, you get the 6-pointed star, and so there's the first two letters of the alphabet, not AB. It's AV. It's Av, not Abram, but Avram. Correctly, and if you do a little bit of study of what the Jewish Jews are writing within Hebrew, then which is correctly Yiddish, you'll see it. And so literally, or means as the prime root of light. So Av or Avor means the stars of light. So when he's saying here correctly in the scripture, the code is that, and unto Asham, the father of all the stars of light, the father of all the stars of light. Okay, so that's what Eber, just like I pointed out, what was it, Edom, right? Edom, I told you, is Adam. And then when I told the story about how Esau, which is correctly Esha Yal, Esau, he then killed Nimrod, and he got the coat that was made for his great father Adam, and so he wore the coat of Adam. And so what's he going to call his citadel on the eastern side of the Jordan River, but not Edom? He called it Adam, and so this is they switched out all of our words, ladies and gentlemen, all of them. And this is why you got to tune in, because you get the original words based on original root form, not the corrupted forms, not the corrupted letters, because there's a switch out that has occurred. And when we put the words back correctly, you can actually then get bearing on, oh, okay, I get it now. Yeah. Just like how come, Lot, his name is Lot, No, it's not Lot. You look in the Strongs, you find it's Lotan. Lotan. Well, how come they only gave us half the word? Because they know we're stupid. They know that we're never going to look, we're never going to get it. And welcome to Cynthia on our broadcast here. I think you've been here before, but okay, and everybody else too. We have had a lot of people coming and going this morning. So anyway, so it was a major, major thing for me to see that because Shem being Melchizedek, Shem, who Zavram Abraham, not a Ham, gave a tenth of all the spoils, right, to him. And so we hear the story about Tamar. Tamar was the granddaughter of Asham, of Shem, Melchizedek, and remember that Judah, she was married to the son of Judah, but yet he died, and then she didn't bring forth seed. Then his second son, Judah's second son, married her, Tamar, and then he dies also. And so Judah didn't want to give anymore his third son to her because he thought something was not right. They didn't know what was going on. So literally Tamar puts on the garment of a whore, meets him on a crossroad, and he wants to have intercourse, and so he gives her the pledge of his tokens for coming back with a sheep, later on. And but notice how this thing in the Great Mystery is, she pretends to be a whore. Well, that's what the phony church is, right? The phony church is a whore. You see? So all of these relations, all of these connections are built within the story, but they've changed the words so we don't get it. What was Melchizedek bringing forth through his seed line? He was bringing forth the stars of light. That's also what Hebrew means. Hebrew being a corruption, being correctly the Avres, and Avres with the AV, and Ray is the star rays. So Hebrew means star rays. Eber, being a prime root of that, means the stars of light. Okay, this is the they did a good job of brainwashing us, ladies and gentlemen, because nobody can read in these terminology. They're lost in the Hebrew and Greek, thinking that's where the answer is, but no, that's where the control is. You got to get past it, go back to what they stole from us, which is the original, And so I just wanted to share that with you today. That I'm just getting the program started. I can't get over it. I'm just getting going here, and we're going to finish our read on the book of Hebrews today. We've got like three chapters more, 4 at the most, I think. And I see people coming and going. I know they listen to about just 5 minutes of Desert and say, okay, I'm out of here now. They don't get it because, if you don't listen to several of these programs, from beginning to end, you're going to miss it because we go down further down the rabbit hole than anybody, to my knowledge. Okay, to my knowledge, because there's nobody in the Indo-Germanic that which is first is superior. That which was breathed into Hadam. That's where we get the term Nazare from. The Nazare, the nasal. You can hear the nasal right there. It's the ray of light that was breathed into the nostrils, the nasal, into the right. That's where the breath of life was breathed into Hadam through the nostrils, not through the mouth, because Yahweh didn't want to take credit for what would come out of our mouths, our filthy mouths. And so he breathed into the nasal, you see. And that's, therefore, when this culture, I think the first Nazarene was Samson, and he represented this tradition. And so the Nazarene are the ones preserving the original knowledge. The nasal that was breathed into the nostrils. Gnosis is another word that we get out of that. The nostril, the knowledge, the trail of knowledge that was breathed in, you see, from the beginning. And so there was a pure line that came down. And this pure line we find preserved through Enoch, through Nova, through Asham, who is falsely called Shem, and falsely called Melchizedek because it is Malach Esha. Malach Eshadidek, it's a little deeper, and thank you, Shelley. Yeah, I'll take another coffee for that. I'll flow a little more with my keep my voice heated up here. Sorry about that. I should have muted out. I'll get that technique down one day. But gulp, yeah. So where was I going with this? Well, I got diverted now. I think I got the point made to you that that none of it's correct, ladies and gentlemen. None of it's correct. In other words, it would be fair to say, especially for anyone just popping in. I'm not mentioning our six pack that's always here, but I mean the other people that come and go real quick. The truth is, if you've not been following what we're talking about, and which stems from also Ninja Cat 111's channel and my other channel, the Forbidden History series, which was sabotaged, uh, then you've never read the scriptures. Okay, you only think you have, because unless you're reading something that's true, correct, complete, not misleading, then you don't have it. And of course, the truth is not a part of any lie. We find that in 1 John 2:27. The truth is not a part of any lie. So how can you be reading things that are lies and then claim to be of the truth? You see, that's the whoredom. That's the whoredom I was talking about. And so there's a lot that we're having to to a lot of trails to go down to pull these pieces together. You're not going to get it in five sound bites. Okay, you're not going to get it in one listening. It's an awakening. It's the flower that little by little opens up. Every day the flower gets a little bigger. Okay, so let me breathe deep here. I'm okay. Everybody's all right. It's the world that's the problem. It's not you, Desert. Okay. So I'm going to read now out of I got two works of Lamsa. I haven't been reading them here of late, and I want to always do a little bit out of that. And I've got the New Testament Light by George Lamsa, okay, who gave us the Peshitta. And so let me do a little read out of there, okay? And I'm going to have to adjust my light here. There we go. Okay, adjust my light. And so Adam, and what I'm attempting to do here is to help people so they can see or read it for themselves, okay? Because I'm just a shulfar. A shulfar is another word for a scribe, because I am a translator, bringing forth the most important transliteration of our scriptures in modern time. It's not a brag; it's just a fact that because not one of the translations in our modern time, and we're talking over the last several hundred years, it has been able to break the code, and the code is the code of the priesthood. That's the Achilles heel that they've killed us with. There's Fenton, for our Fenton has the best translation out of the Greek from 1905, published, and Lamsa, and now I could say also Etheridge, have the most important translations of the New Testament out of the Aramaic, pseudo-Aramaic, because they switched out the Aramaic also from the original alphabet that's on our driver's license, and then there's a profound read of the Aramaic in Lamsa, but then also with these other guys out of Australia. It's David Bosker, Bauschcher, David Bosker. Okay, it's the first 5 books of Moses, but they're also calling it a Torah here. So they're good though. I forget the fact that they don't. Not anybody can figure out the entire rat race that they've inflicted on us. So but they get high marks on their transliteration. Got to read it. Okay. So we're in Genesis in the Old Testament light with Lamsa, and we're going to read about Adam. Okay. Let me adjust my light again. I gotta figure out how to do this. I'm still working on my light situation here. I don't want to burn too many because it gets hot here in the summer. Okay, so I'm just going to read, the literal of Lamsa here, Genesis 1:27. And God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him, male and female created he them. So now I'll transliterate, okay? So you can get the feel, because that's what you want to do. You want to hear the original words. So Yahweh, who is the great Elohim, created the Adam, the eye of creation, in his own image. In the image of Yahweh, who is the great Elohim, created he him, the one of the many. Him is plural. It's Haim. Correctly, it would be Haim, Haym, and it is also means the breath of the many. Okay. and male and female created he them. In the preceding verse, now I'm just reading Lamsa here. In the preceding verse, the title of the Ashon is called Nasha. Now that's the Aramaic, but you'll note that I put the N on the other side of the word to reveal it, because they switched out all the words. That's what I've been saying. Whether you're talking the Pseudo-Aramaic or the Yiddish Hebrew or the pathetic Greek, whatever we're dealing with, they've manipulated all of it. So you got to know the tricks, the trap, the trade, and the code that they've been doing to us. So Nasha is Ashon, and there we find the word Asha, which they got right on the map in our face all of our lives, and nobody ever tells us what that Asha is all about. You see, so the eye of creation is called Ashan. So we're the eye of creation. We are at the pinnacle of creation on earth. It was all made for us. All the other creation is in the lower form. The animals, they're all beautiful, but yet they don't have what we have. They're of the earth. We're not of the earth. They all evolved. This is the great mystery. This is how the priesthood lied again. Everything was made insto presto magico, in a moment. No, we can see the evidence that all of creation evolved, but man did not evolve from this creation. He was spontaneously generated by the great Dul of Haim. Okay, that's the distinction. He was made by the Spirit, in other words, and therefore then he was taken up to the throne of the Son. And so the Nashon derived from the Aramaic word nishmitha, which means breath. So there you go. You see, made from the breath, because the breath of Yahweh was breathing. Those are the vibrational waves that we then see in the AV, the vavs, not waves, but vavs, VAV, vav. And there's also, we find the word weave or wove, as in change the V to a W, which is the corruption. It's vav. That is the breath of life. The Esha Sphire, or the spirit of Yahweh, which dwells in Ashon, and which makes him in the image and the likeness of his creator. In verse 27 here in Genesis 1, the term man is used collectively, meaning humanity or mankind, but man is a corruption. Man means criminal and sinner in Old English, and in the Talmud it means something like a piece of garbage or something worse. And so we try to get away from the use of man because it is a vulgar term. Okay, and so Adam, which is the literal word that is being spelled in most of these instances, therefore, and it means the eye of creation. Adam means eye of creation, means, now see, so Lamsa, of course, he hadn't, because they've been manipulated, also doesn't have the whole picture. And so he's saying, means red soil, just like we hear all the time that it means red earth, but it doesn't. It means the fiery red magma. We were made from the breast of the earthly mother, from the fiery magma that poured out upon the ground. There's the fountain. As it says, a fountain gushed forth in Philo, but of course in our King James it says a mist. Well, a mist? Wait a minute, what? Because the water was already here. The oceans were already here. So it was the word mist is a code for mystery. They're not telling you. Okay? Look it up in the Big Oxford, okay? $400 dictionary. Then you might find it. But this is it. So it was from the red earth, which is the purified minerals and salts of the earthly mother. So the spirit, the father and mother, spirit, father, mother, earth, physical creation, matter come together to create a life, spontaneously, not evolved, but spontaneous generation. Adam was the first made before anything else was made on earth. Only the land and the water were here. Land and water, and it says, and go read Genesis, it's there, but it's been so convoluted, we never get these pictures correctly about what's really going on. They've corrupted them, and but we're going to be doing it here. We're going to be bringing on the transliteration real quick. I'm getting real close now to starting it, and I'm just having to do a few more things to ramp up here. Okay, and then and you'll hear history in the making, ladies and gentlemen, if you stay tuned with us, and do tell your friends. Okay, and the spirit of Ashon dwell. Okay, where am I here? So Adam means fiery magma. That is, the Ashon formed out of the mineral, purified minerals and salts. According to the first chapter of Bereshith, Genesis, or correctly Ganesha is Genesis is the corruption. Put the correct code back of the letters, and it's Ganesha, and it means the garden of the royal eye. Ganesha means the garden of the royal eye. Gan is garden, but it's Ganesha, and there's Aisha, and it means the royal eye. So, it was amazing once the word Aisha was so clear in all these other words. It just and I'm not going to elaborate on that anymore because I got a long way to go here. Okay, so but anytime you want to call in with a question, I'm willing to entertain that. Okay, because I'm trying to get a caller-generated program. I'm elaborating, but I really want to answer other people's questions because I've already, I've got the big download. All right, I've already, the Father has revealed this to me, and in a big way, I've answered all my questions. So I'm really here, to serve any of you out there who really want to escape this lower piece of garbage that we live on. We know we're here for a temporary moment, and if you love the earth, it says, then you have not the love of the Father in you. You have to hate this world for what it really is, a grand illusion of deception. And where, perpetual war and perpetual murder and starvation, perpetual misery, perpetual slavery, perpetual imprisonment. They're putting people in prison for 20 years and never did a thing, and for life. All right, enough of that. So, and so Adam, okay, so according to the first Kaftor in Ganesha, both Adam, who is correctly dictum, because we got the diction through him, because he was made to name all things. Go look. And Keva, not Eve, but Keva, the other half of her name is in the Strongs if you go look. They give you half orally, and the other half is in the book, where created spiritually by the Eshavor, that's word, of Yahweh, who is the great Elohim, not God. God is the Pope, just as he had created all other things. That is to say, the Esha, spherical or spiritual Eshan, or spiritual man, was not formed out of the dirt of the ground. He was made out of the fiery magma. For in the first chapter we read, and the great Elohim created Eshan in his own image, and male and female created he them. Yahweh's image has nothing to do with the earth at all. This is what Alamsa's point is, and Philo would agree completely, because it's about the spirit, that we were made with a capability, with our ability to reason and to see things for ourselves, to transcend this lower nature. That's within you. Okay, that's within you. That's what you have to discover. The outer physical is the illusion. The creation of Eshan took place on the sixth Diel, and everything was perfect and complete, and Yaltzark, because when it said it was good, the word is Yaltzar, and what it literally means is the product of a star, the product of the sun. And instead, they got us to think, oh, it was good. Oh, like, yeah, milk toast, cornflakes, good. Oh, yeah, like passively, like, yeah, it's all right. Yeah. No, it was Yaltzar, the power of the star, and it was meaning more so like, to say it correctly, it was perfect, is perfect, a perfect creation. Wow, what a mind brought forth this creation, right? Of the Father, of the great Father of light. And it's an endless in resource. I mean, for the most part, because as Dane Wigington, which will be on later today about 4 p.m. Eastern time, Dane Wigington, check out the YouTube, will point out that, the Earth is running out of certain resources like food, okay, and trees, because they killed our planet, and insects and the fish and everything else. It's over, okay? So the resources were good while they lasted, but, we're payday is here, ladies and gentlemen. Payday is here, and we're all going down together, so we better get it right. That's all we've got left that we can do, don't you think? Okay, so so where am I here? And blah, 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 yeah. Okay, and I got to learn to keep my finger. Oh, there it is. Okay, so in other words, Eshan was the last of the creation of Yahweh. Yeah, well, he was the first, because Hadam was the first made of all things, and taken up to the throne of the sun, falsely called Eden, because it is the atom, the star atom, And in other words, and where was I? Okay, and Yahweh endowed and enlightened, Baruch, endowed and enlightened with a mind's eye for seeing in the night, and separated them and told them to multiply and gave them dominion over all of his creation. This is how the first chapter gives us a true picture of creation and the great Elohim um, as creator. Okay, Yahweh is the architect. Elohim is creator. Make a distinction. The architect doesn't go to work creating. He sits back in his rest. Let's Elohim take over and create. It's a continual process. It's ongoing right now. The light is still falling. Eve is still coming out of the side of the atom. Can you get the picture? Let me see where I was at here. Okay, and so okay, and the I got to stop looking up and looking down. The creation of Ashon took place on the sixth day, and everything was perfect in the altar. Okay, and he blessed them, told them to multiply. Here we go. And thus, this was the first chapter and gives us a perfect picture of creation. And here, Yahweh gives commands, and everything is done according to his will. According to his will, Elohim works for him. It was all pre-designed before of the first Adam even came to be. Pre-designed, and that's why he's been in his rest from the beginning. Whereas in the second chapter, we see great Elohim, Yahweh, who is a great Elohim, works with his hands like an Ashon. So a lot more can be said about that. The second account of creation is a commentary on the first Kaftor. And because they're two different texts, the one of the first chapter comes from the northern kingdom, and the second Kaftor chapter comes from the southern kingdom, Utah, because they were split, and that's why it's very more difficult to read, ladies and gentlemen. Stuff we can talk about anytime you want to hit me up. The second account of creation is a commentary on the first chapter. I think it is the work of the later writer who tried to explain Ashon's creation in a symbolical manner so that the people might comprehend it. It's called the Yahwistic text because it says Lord God. That's second chapter. You'll notice the term Lord God because Lord is Yahweh and God being Elohim. So literally it's a phrase that means Yahweh, who is the great Elohim. He is all things, right? Other than in anyone who is in the darkness, because he cannot stay in the presence of one within one who is in darkness and antithetical to his light. This account is old, and it has a spiritual value. It was placed next to the first chapter simply because it is a commentary on it. Some people think the second account of the creation contradicts the first, but this is not true. The second account is written figuratively from the earthly point of view in order to explain the first account, which is spiritual and in which Yahweh works as great Elohim and not as an Ashon. The reader must remember that the Bible is Babel, correctly Shulfar. The Shulfar is a library containing hundreds of writings written at different times by different authors. No inspired Stare, Hebrew writer, could have thought of Yahweh literally mixing soil and forming man out of it, or thought of Elohim. But the star navigators, Hebrew prophets, often portrayed Yahweh as an Ashon, planting vineyards or trees and doing other manual work. And when we pick it up next time, we'll be on seeds. Let's go to a break, Shelley. I need about 5 minutes, and then we'll be back with New Testament Light. We'll read a slice out of there, and then we will be in Etheridge's transliteration of the Aramaic Peshitta while I verbally read the original thought of the code words that are not properly given to us. You know, we've got a major work to do, ladies and gentlemen, but it is up to you. I'm just the messenger, and I'm passing it on to you because I learned one thing for sure, that none of us know how to read, and we have to learn to see and read it for ourselves. We've been lied to from day one, and be set free, ladies and gentlemen, because it can be done. All right, glad you tuned in. Hope you are telling your friends about the broadcast, because we want to get it out to as many people as possible. After all, you wanted to know, right? Every life is important, and we've got to get their attention. So don't go away. We'll be right back with what they didn't want you to know that we tell right here on Desert Owl. Glad you're tuned in. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Forbidden History Live. I'm your host, Dezert-Owl, bird who sees in the night, and I see too much. I'm looking for that proverbial blue pill. I want to go to sleep now. Thank you very much. I'm through with political activism, and I know too much, so looking for a tropical island somewhere. Give me some R&R. I need. Yeah, it's a burden, to know that things ain't the way they're supposed to be, and that something's extremely rotten in Denmark, and that we're don't belong here, and there's somebody somewhere else that we belong, and yet, how do we get there? Yes, we're all doing time, and as I always used to say on my program, it doesn't matter whether you are on the inside or on the outside, because we're all doing time. And for some of us, it's hard time, and we'll never get over the pain. We're just going to have to learn how to deal with it, ladies and gentlemen. And that's the kicker. We're most all of us here, I think, have been experiencing different forms of persecution, or what this environment, this harsh environment of our world is doing to us. It doesn't seem to do much for us. It just seems to do something to us. And of course, those terms aren't even right either. And we analyze the shavors, the words, because tu is future tense. It's happening right now. We're under what I used to call, for United Truckers Defending the Constitution, the acronym was UTDC, and that also stood for under threat, duress, and coercion. And it was perfect. It was a perfect acronym for both, the organization and for what we're going through: under threat, duress, and coercion. And perpetual war. That's what this the game is all about. Perpetual war. Yeah, we can never stop the merry-go-round. We're constantly going round. They're the ones who are pulling the strings. And we become the pawns in the game. Can we get off the ride? I'd like to get off now. Thank you very much. Um, and so the good news is that the spirit of light, the spirit of life, of the true vivification. You see, it's in the original word for life is vivify, the V's, viva, veva, veva. There it is, the veva. The wave is the life, the true wave, the sound wave, and it starts with the a shavor because, where it says like in 1 John, in 1 John 2:20. Let me just. I guess I got to say okay here because I'm responding to. I'll be coming this. Oh, let me just say okay here. Okay, I've got a meeting later this afternoon. Very good, thank you. And okay, where was I? So it says in the beginning, in our King James, in the beginning is the word. No, it said was the word. Like okay, past tense. Okay, in the beginning was the word, and the word was. God, and all that. So the past tense, how they trick the words. But of course, in the Greek, it says logos. Okay, so wait a minute, what's going on here? Word, logo, what is it? Which one? And then you take the word word, write it down. Okay, put an S in front of it, and you get sword. Okay, wait a minute. Oh, wait, the word is sword. Wait a minute, flame. And it's a logo. It's a sword. It's a word. It's a logo. And but then if we go back to the original, we find out it's the a shavor, the royal eye. And so the royal eye is a sword, it's a logo. A logo is a symbol, and it's a word. Being a symbol, it's an expression of words, and you see it all goes, and it's a flaming sword that points in every direction. That's what we found out in Genesis when they said they pointed, they protect, the way back to the garden with a flaming sword that points in every direction. But we get it to think it was the intention, because the priesthood is controlling the narrative, that it was supposed to keep them out of the garden. No, it wasn't. The whole purpose of the sword being there wasn't to keep them out of the garden. It was to point the way back to the garden. It's back at the light. The Yud, the Yuta, the Judah is the Yuta, the light, the perpetual youth of that star when you were 18 years old, like you thought you couldn't die because you had so much energy going through your blood. And that's what the Yuta is in the star. The Yud is the dot. It's the smallest, but it is the most powerful at the same time. Microcosm, macrocosm, the garden of atoms, which brings forth all the atoms that nurture us, you see. Atom. And there's so much we can talk about in this, but it is the a shavor. In the beginning is the a shavor, not was the a shavor, is. And the a shavor is the shavor is the savior. The shavor is the beginning and latter rain. The shower. The shavor is the sower. The shavor is the sword. All of these things are in that one word. It's beautiful. Going back to the original, So, okay, so let's pick it up in New Testament light now. I don't know who needs this broadcast more, me or you, because I am, I really need to do this because, it's a lonely world out here, and there's nobody to talk to about any of this stuff. It's like, no, it's really, it seems like nobody cares. Jet wants to call in. Well, we got an announcement, ladies and gentlemen. We have Jet from California wanting to call in. How is she going to do it? How are we going to do this? Is she going to call in on Skype? What? Huh? Are we going to Skype? Let's do a Skype call. Come on. No, she can't, right? Oh, she's calling in on the cell. All right. Let's do it. Oh, geez. We're going to have to put a check in the mail for her. Okay. Let me see. She's not calling. Looking at that phone, it's not moving. Okay, I may have to read for a minute. Tell her to call in, and you just texted her. Okay, good. And gets exciting when people want to get interactive here. It's like, okay, I got to do all the singing and dancing. Come on, it's a free for all. Anybody can participate. This is group participation. I've only got so much voice, as you've noticed, and I used to be able to talk nonstop. Now I've got to pace myself and take sips of something in order to keep it going. So where is she? Where is that Jet? I thought we had a. I see. You just texted her. Okay, very good. And excuse me. Okay. Well, in the meantime, I'll go ahead and read then, and we'll wait for Jet to fly in. All right. So in the New Testament Light by George Lamsa, it's really great. You know, he's got one book on the everlasting covenant, which is falsely called New Testament. Oh, there she is. Okay. And then he's got one on the stone covenant. You know, so we're really all right. Here we go. Jet in Southern California, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Hello.
Yeah, and
Good day.
yeah, hello means life is hell. I know, we know that. What does what mean?
Crap.
Crap?
Yeah, when I said, oh crap, I said the wrong word.
We may not want to define it, but go ahead, keep talking.
Okay, so I just have to let you know I can't see chat or anything while I talk. So
Okay.
anyhow, but this is the show, right? Am I on the show?
No, we don't. No, we don't do shows because show backwards is wash, and shows are for brainwashing. So we have a deprogramming program here. This is deprogram, Jet.
Well, plug me in.
You're on deprogram. Okay, here you are.
Okay. All right. So I've been hearing what you're saying, and I feel like I have such a different perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Where I feel that there's so many Christians out there and people who are saying or feeling, take me away. I want to be out of here. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this is the planet we were given, and this is our gift here. And
Mm-hmm.
we need to fight. We need to fight more the dark that's here instead of just leaving and being so willing just to check out. It's like it reminds me of like a father who has a family who is working and toiling at work, and work gets tough, and he's just so that I'm out of here. It's too tough for me. Bye.
Yeah. Well, right. Okay. So, well, I got involved in political activism in 1991, 92, and I spoke publicly at the first time. Thought I was going to pee my pants, and had to go to the men's room to talk to myself in the mirror, say, "You can do this, Desert." You know that. And so I became involved. In other words, we know that the world would be beautiful if man weren't here because man's the problem. It's run by a psychopath. So nature's beautiful, and we can enjoy the fruits of nature, but ultimately we know that we came here for one purpose. If we read the ancient writings, and by the way, the Colburn, which is sometimes called the Colburn Bible, is another great read that gets into a lot of the ancient that we've had stolen from us. And all the ancients knew the truth that the only reason we came here was to discover our true nature, and then to dedicate ourselves to that a higher path. So there are two gardens in this duality, you see, and so the garden of the atoms, which is the light. We because we look at the light of the sun, we look at the sun through microscopes and telescopes and satellites, and we now look at the sun as if it's some type of just some type of material object. But the ancients, we have to see how the ancients saw the light as it really is, and that it is where everything came from. Everything came out of a star, and what ignited the star was the breath of the Father that breathed into it. The Spirit is there. The Spirit is here. But there's two gardens. There's the upper garden of light and the lower garden of dense matter and darkness. And so the preference is generated through knowing the truth. And so in the same time, we become lights. We become lights on earth, and we attempt to show people the light, and we do it, of course, through our behavior, as well as our eshavors, our words. So it's a matter of being one with the light. So as Yeshua said, the battle is not ours, it's his. He wants to use us, but we have to surrender to his power. Okay, I was a political activist. I saw them kill and imprison all of the greats. Okay, my former boss Eddie Kane of American rights litigators is still in prison. Okay, I talked to his wife periodically. His whole office went in. The only reason I didn't go is because I was only there for a year and I only scanned incoming documents. These guys were, on the phone telling people how to lawfully not pay taxes to a criminal enterprise that was there for no other reason other than control our society and to deceive mankind. My boss was indicted with Wesley Snipes. You may remember Wesley Snipes was indicted about 10 years ago with or so 12 years ago with about about 5 other people, and Eddie Kane, my boss of American rights litigators, was one of them. Okay, so the good people have all gone to the table, people with knowledge and skill, and they get killed or they get imprisoned. So what part of that should anybody want to participate in when we can learn the truth that it's not our world, and to fight for a dead dog is to gain nothing in the end.
But what if our true nature is to protect, and maybe those people who came in front of us had to be sacrificed just to show everybody. I mean, things have to get pretty bad before people actually open their eyes, and so maybe they were the catalyst for us to open our eyes and stand up, because right now I'm seeing that so many people are just willing to just go, oh, look at the dark. Okay, bye. And I just think that we have more skill than that.
Well, then go to it, Jet. That's all I can tell you, because I've been there, done that. I ended up on a concrete slab, looking at life without mercy. I got the record for the longest case in West Virginia's history, being railroaded by the Masonic piracy.
But I just feel like it's checking out and letting them win.
No. We have a great work to do within ourselves, and that will be a miracle in itself. Okay, that's a miracle. So your heart is leaning out there because that's a natural motherly female instinct to want to fix everything, being it's Mother Earth. But it's still we plant seeds. We're seed planters, but it's based on the truth of our true nature. This is not our world. That's the good news. If this was all we had, feel sorry for us.
Yeah.
Because we're dead in short order anyway,
But we're supposed to have longevity. We're supposed to be able. Why would we have such natural longevity if we weren't supposed to be here? So I think that we are here to maybe protect the earth and to defend it.
Well, that's what I've been doing. That's what I've been doing for all my life. So I've been there. I was rescuing my 16-year-old girlfriend from her psychopathic 35-year-old brother-in-law, water commissioner at the time. Little did I know he was in the black budget. Her father was a senator, and in the process of my rescuing her from being systematically raped by the guy, within a 36-hour period, I was stabbed 5 times and shot with a 30-30 rifle. So I saved her. He never raped her again, but I had to pay quite a bit of dues. Imagine the first time waking up in the middle of the night with a knife at your throat and in a sleeping bag and trying to work out of a sleeping bag while you're fighting off a knife fighter,
And then that's where also our tribe comes in. That's where we have to gather and group around others of like mind who are willing to get on.
No, you're not. You see, that's not, I can tell you right now. I forgive me for stopping you, but you see, I had 2 organizations. They infiltrate everything. There is no organization. There is no cohesion, and because the people in the world are stupid and dead, there's just very few that really have it together, and they're so smart and see the stupidity of what modern day Christianity has brought us through the occultic, that they wouldn't even participate in something like that. So you're I I know where you're going, but because I went there. You see, I had to learn the hard way. The old quote was by this ancient sage. Once I'm laying on a concrete slab, was, do you wish to save the world from all the degradation and destruction that it seems destined for? Well, if you do, then you must quietly step away from all of those shallow mass movements and then quietly begin to go to work upon your own self-awareness, because the only one we can have hope of fixing is ourself. And then in the process, we might be able to point the way to our soul novation, because the world, there's nothing to gain in the world other than freedom. You see, true freedom, and that's spiritual. Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yeah.
and I don't comprehend. And why were we given such a long natural life in the first place?
To develop and grow, because it takes a long time to figure things out. Like me, okay, I had to go through 40 years in the wilderness. That's why we're given the story about 40 years in the wilderness, because it takes a lifetime sometimes to get the picture of really the true nature of things. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They pulled the plug. Just go listen. I'm sure you've listened to Dane Wigington. In a couple hours he'll be on, and we find out that basically, the Great Barrier Reef is dead. That the sea life is all dying. The trees are dying. The insects, the bees, everything is dying. So the only thing we can offer our children, our little ones, and our loved ones is the hope of identifying with our true nature, which is the spirit, and that there is a better place to go. It was Crazy Horse, and the native peoples were deeply spiritual, and they've been given a bad rap. It was Crazy Horse who said, and I know you love horses, and Crazy Horse was my guy. I love Crazy Horse because he never signed put his pen to the treaty, and then in the end he got stabbed in the back. He never surrendered, but he got killed by his own people. The sellouts. And but Crazy Horse said, this world is only a shadow of the real world. So he knew it. This is the shadow.
Then why are we given a will to survive? Why are we given that then? If we're just supposed to fold and go inside ourselves and.
Well, you say fold. I didn't say fold. I said to discover the true nature of life, of our being, of all things, of occultists. We don't partner up with occultists and criminals. So we have to be separate. We're a separate people in the nature of the light, because that's just like looking at nighttime. There's little points of light, and then you got all that darkness. Okay, so we become points of light, pointing the way back home through and to the light. Simple. It's really.
I don't understand. I don't comprehend. And why are we even put here to understand or to see how dark it is, only to leave again? Why? What's the point?
Well, the point is it's Yeshua's point, it's Yahweh's point, because they wanted to create. In other words, see what they're doing. See, we're in a lower world. What Yahweh was doing is creating a race of people for the other world. You see, he knew that this world was the test. This world is the proving ground, and if only those who are worthy go to the beyond. The other ones go back to the wash and rinse cycle, and I feel sorry for them.
Well,
yeah.
I almost feel like we're just here for someone's entertainment then.
No, it's not, because he's here to help serve us. He's protected my life over and over. How many ordeals have I shared on this broadcast of what I've gone through? My life has been protected in a big way, and it's because I'm dedicated to serving, even in spite of myself, because he's not finished with me yet.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, maybe we need all to have that attitude that we're just not finished yet. So keep working at it.
Yeah. In other words, your life, like, you want to go, you want to kill, what's his name? The guy that guy named Sam out of New York. What was he? Remember the guy called Sam? What was that? The killer?
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. Oh, the son of Sam. You want to go kill son of Sam because he's such a scumbag. But what you can do is you can help the poor. You can help the weak. You can do the little things in life, but you're not going to be able to go conquer Gangwan Bandi Rashish, who's running the world in a loincloth sitting in a cave. Because he's.
We need it.
Yeah, we need to, somebody. We don't want to say what I mean. We don't want to say what we'd like to happen, because they might want to blame us for it, and say that we're conspiring, and we can't say those things that we'd like to, So yeah, mum's the word, and so yeah, it would be great, Give me a Milishnikov, and I'll take care of business real quick. Okay, let as a friend used to say, let God sift him out, right? Let's just, you know what I mean? Yeah.
I also feel that if we can manifest more love and positive, maybe we need to do that. Maybe they're instilling so much fear in everyone, and it gets into our mindset, and our thoughts are all electrical. And we need to manifest more positive. You know, you guys hear my rooster in the background, or is that just me?
Okay, yeah. Yeah, that's the rule star. They rule the star because they're the first ones making noise in the morning. That's the rule star. Yeah. And are you saying I'm negative? I mean, wow. I can't. I'm sorry.
I think we need to manifest the positive. I think we need to manifest, just for instance, the Oroville Dam.
Yeah.
There are so many eyes on that right now, and everyone's hovering around on the chat, watching.
It's a great diversion. They need those kind of diversions. They made them.
But the thing is they're all sitting there waiting for it to happen. What if we took all those souls, those spirits, and manifested a strong dam, something that's going to hold up to the pressure? Why don't, if we all did that, maybe that energy.
No. That's like, somebody blamed me for the state of the world because I wouldn't do something like that. It's all my fault. Oh, it's your fault, Desert, because you're not willing to manifest a positive attitude. Okay, well, I'm following the attitude of Yeshua and with the truth. Okay, like let's pose a question. Since we've had perpetual war ever since Cain killed his brother, then when is that manifestation supposed to manifest itself? There's more people now than ever before, so certainly there's more people trying to manifest the positive while there's more people that are involved in the negative, So, see, these are circular arguments that never can be solved. The only answer is in the one who made all things. He's the one who's speaking with his books, Chet, so that's where I go,
But the thing is that's where information comes in, is if our military absolutely knew why and how they're being used, they wouldn't sign up for it anymore.
Yeah, but they kill them. They kill them when they wake up, like that football player that Dane Wigington always mentions. Yeah, they were killing reporters and innocent people, and he wanted to go public, and they killed him.
Yeah, but wake them up. Whoa, God, there's that word again. Open their eyes before they sign up.
You see, we got to look at the patterns of history. America is no different and is the same generation of what the British Empire was in its day. It's a military mercenary force to keep the world in check. That's all. The game has been going on. It's never ended.
Maybe we're this generation been put here to open people's eyes. Maybe it needs that shift in knowledge. That's why you're here. We're educating, We get people to finally see what the real truth is, and then they can stand up against it. They cannot sign up.
They can't stand against it. Mind control has been perfected. All right, we're the ultimate slave state. I have the advantage of being in this arena now since I became a political activist of 30 years. Half a lifetime, and so you're at that disadvantage where you've not had the experience. Once you got beaten up and pushed downstairs and shot several times, and dragged through the mud and had your life defamed, then maybe you'll say, I think I'm a little sick of this now, and I think I'll get on with leaving this world, because, it's just you've got a lot going for you in life, and that's good stuff. And you do, great work at what you do, but you've got to realize, just like you can't get on the internet, because you've been overtly talking to other people that, were the wrong ones, and therefore now what the pain feels like a little bit. But imagine multiplying that 100-fold and being put into prison, like so many great people have, or had their lives taken out. In other words, as my retired intelligence officer once said, any group bigger than 3 people has already been infiltrated. They're so perfect at what they do. They're listening in on the phone right now. They know who we are. They know where we live. They know what we eat, and they're good to go for us anytime we got to be dealt with.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I hear what you're saying. I just believe me. I've been.
Yeah. And the technology, forgive me, but the technology has only made it more perfect for them. They got us.
Yeah. And that's why I think it's okay to unplug. I think that's what more of us have to do. We have to unplug. We have to get away. We have to live real life. We stop using their system. Stop becoming their slave. Don't buy into their way, their technology. Don't do it. I think the less we enroll in, their system, the better off we'll be.
Try throwing away the phony dollar. Try throwing away the phony dollar. You can't do it.
That's true, but someone I work for a nursery, and I asked the boss. I said, sometimes, why don't we just barter? Let's barter for it. He goes, no, that's illegal. You can't do it. So I see how they've made. But he's opting. He's choosing to agree to that system. If he just bartered with me, we'd have our own. I hate that word contract, but we'd have between us private. We'd have our own contract. Mm-hmm. And there's a big difference between private and public. And I think if we became more private.
Well, okay, but once again, Jet, I was in what they called the sovereign movement. Okay, I heard it all. I've been to the common law court hearings. I formed the first militia in Harris County, Texas. I formed the first court of common pleas, or what we call the common law courts in Harris County, Texas. I had two organizations. My first organization was Council for the National Interest, the antithesis of Council on Foreign Relations. Then my second group was the biggest lobby in America. When I got behind after my divorce and got behind a big truck again, I formed United Truckers Defending the Constitution, the biggest army in America. Go everywhere, see everything, go underground, carry every commodity we ever use. Don't you know that they got MI6 and I lost a house on a lake, with a dock and a canoe and, paradise. Okay. I've been there, done that. I think I've explained that. I don't know where, we can keep just saying this over and over, but, I've got experience at this, and my whole beginning was spirituality and my ending is spirituality. I just had to go through the garbage, through the swamp in order to learn the truth, so I can speak from experience.
And I hear you, those people, they are becoming more awake. More and more people are becoming more aware of, their choices, I think. And I think in the very beginning, those soldiers who come first, like you, they always get hit the hardest. Always. But you're laying a foundation. You're laying the groundwork for others behind you to come to make it easier.
You see, but again, it comes down to the bottom line. It's not our world. You can't change the nature of the world and of psychopathic murderers. You're not going to. They've been doing it from the beginning of the Aryan race. That's when it started, you see. When the Watchers fell, the Watchers are the Aryans, and they're not some invisible creatures with wings on their back. That's the propaganda. They were the ones who had all the knowledge they inherited from their father Adam, and they were the ones who built the first great pyramid civilizations prior to the flood. They enslaved mankind, and they've been running the show ever since, nonstop. So,
and that is for their belief system. They have laid a belief system for us that we have followed, and I think some people like you are well, I don't know. I guess I'm of I hear what you're saying. I definitely hear it. I just think that I'm of a different belief system where I'm not willing to believe that they are unbeatable. And I think it's more of us believe that and start changing our perspective of why we are here.
Well, I don't believe anything. I deal with knowing. It's possible to know. Okay.
That's true.
Believe means to give little credit to something. So Jed, I respect you, and I love your heart because it's a natural. What you feel and what you're expressing is natural for anyone that has half a heart. But I come at it strictly from a the law, the ancient writings and the scriptures. The Spirit is speaking to us through the ancient writings, and that's what will guide us. That's all I can say.
I know. So, but I love you guys. I love your program. I'm still listening. I'm still here. I'm,
Great.
Still learning,
Thank you.
So.
Yeah, and we certainly welcome you. Joining us on the chat and being here. We really do. And I've always enjoyed your. I know you got. You've sent me a lot of text questions and such, and I know you're going through the fire. And you're hanging in there tough. You could have.
I've got red hair.
the fire of the ire. Yeah. Yeah, those are tough people. We'll see on the.
I'm gonna go feed my chickens and I'll be listening though.
Okay, Jet. Peace and love, and thank you for calling. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye. All right. That was Jet, and yeah, it's that was the same the way Dr. Lorraine Hurley, that wonderful interview I did Monday through Friday on you can see that interview on um, the Forbidden History series channel, the Forbidden History series, 4 words. Go there, you'll see my sunglasses again, my picture with my sunglasses, and the top where the sunburst is that interview. And so Lorraine, I told Lorraine, I said, Lorraine, because she threw away her spirituality. She was a quote unquote Christian and was studying scriptures. She gave it up, and she went to and I hope you're listening, Jet. And she decided to become the ultimate political activist. Right? She gave me my all-time classic interview, my all-time classic. She was good. She was being a medical doctor, quit the profession, wouldn't take the money anymore, didn't want to force inject anybody, and was exposing the fraud of the of all the vaccinations, whether nasal, inhaled, or stabbed in your arm. And she was exposing all that. She was creating a TV network, all that stuff. And I said, Lorraine, what I said to Jet, I said the same thing to Lorraine. Okay, same kind of conversation, a little different. No, not different. The same. Okay, identical. Only Lorraine may not. Well, no, I mean, I feel like when I was talking to both of you, it's the same argument. And you know what they did? 6 months later, after Lorraine gave me that interview, they targeted her like they did about 20 other naturopaths, chiropractors, and doctors that year, over 20, and they ran her over on her bicycle, up there in the Massachusetts area. She was run over. They killed her 6 months after that interview. Okay, because they control the game, they control it, and rest in peace, Lorraine, because I really, really loved her spirit. I really, really did, and it broke my heart to realize that she walked away from the spiritual side of it. She was going to save the world now, and you see, that's the legacy that we have. That's it. I didn't make this cell phone. I didn't make this computer. They make this stuff. They control. They make the rockets. They make the jet, and everything else. So they control the arguments. They control the issues. They create new ideas with television and movies. They got us all thinking we know what aliens look like because we saw it on television or on a movie, And the only aliens I know about are Aryans. Change one letter, the R to the L, and you get Aryan becomes alien. Alien is Aryan, because they were the ones who made the anti-gravity craft 10,000 years ago when they were building the great pyramid civilizations around the world. Okay, so I'll tell you what, I've really just thank you. Wow, another one. Okay, I don't think I saw that graphic before. I'm going to read. I think we're going to have to do part 4 because I can tell I've got a meeting I got to do this afternoon, and I'm already getting talked out. So okay, let's do this. Let's go to one break, make it short, like 3 minutes, and then Jet's head is swiveling. I can appreciate that, Jet. And so many natural doctors I've known have been murdered. Yeah. Okay. There you go. So how do we? There is no organization. They destroy organization. That's what they did with mine. 2 of them. Okay. So there you go. Now, yeah. Is the music playing? I can't tell. I'm gonna jump out, and I'll be back in 3 minutes. Don't go away. You did tell your friends, right? Okay. Thank you. See that UFO again. Shelley. That was quite a pick. Let's look at that for a bit. Yo, engineer.
Yo.
Yo-yo.
Yo, yo, yo.
Where's the music?
No music on you, Mr. UFO.
You can't do music with the UFO?
We'd have to
Oh, I
configure
see.
it.
We got more engineering, engineering to do. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yo, be back in a sec.
You okay?
Sitting Bull. Okay. Glad you're tuned in, ladies and gentlemen. And yeah, it's a tough world, you know, and we wish there were easy answers, don't we? Okay. And then all the people who organized to do the right thing. Well, you know, like when I came to political activism in 1990, then I met all the veterans, you know, Dr. Eugene Schroeder, the agricultural movement, the Take Texas movement back, J.C. Van Kirk and Gary Graham, or the Tom DeWeese, although I'm not some of them, you know, some of these I questioned, of course, where they get their money from, you know, because I never had any money. I I had, always relied on donations to do anything. There was never any big money. And you can see my talk, and you can see what I can do, and there's no support for that because they don't want this out, so they work overtime, to make sure it don't happen. So yeah, so it's cost me everything basically, and so I'm only yeah. Where was I going? Okay, I'm not going to be able to do the New Testament light because I have to save my voice, so I'm going to just go ahead and do another sample read of original thought out of the book of Hebrews. It looks like we're in 10, and I think there's 13, so I'll do 1, and then I'm going to just wait a minute, 1, 2, and there's 2 and 3. Okay, yeah, I'll do 2. I'll do 2. We'll see how it goes. I'm feeling it, and I've got a meeting today and a small presentation I got to do, so I want to make sure I don't lose my voice for that. Okay, so I'm going to just do, this is a big one, so I'm going to do 1. And we're in chapter 10 of Hebrews, and this is the translation of Etheridge out of 1846 from the Aramaic New Testament. And then I transliterate and the words as I read as well, the code, because all of the translations are using the Jesuit code, because they don't know the Jesuit code. They don't know that part of it. They're only looking at the Greek but they don't know that even the Greek and everything was manipulated. The Aramaic, all originals were destroyed. They changed all the most ancient documents, retranslated them, then destroyed whatever earliest copies we had because they wanted to control the narrative. Every now and then something slips out. This has happened, but it's it's our world's an enigma, and this cult that's running our world is a priesthood. That's it. It's a religious order, okay, and it stinks. It's an odor. Or you notice that order and odor sound the same. Go figure, okay. And so chapter 10. For there was in the law the shadow of perfect things to come, not the subsistence of the very things. Therefore, though every year the same sacrifices were offered, they could never perfect those who offered them. For if they had perfected, they would have ceased afterward from the presentation of them. Yeah, that's right. But they never could perfect their state, and that's why they were dissolved, because they were the firstborn. They were the firstborn. We have to be born a second time into the true light, into the higher order of things, because the conscience of those who had been once purified by them would not henceforth have been troubled by such darkness. But in those sacrifices, their blindnesses are brought to remembrance every year. For it is impossible for the blood of bulls and of goats to purify from blindness, from darkness, from sin, as the word, but it means blindness and darkness. Wherefore, when he comes into the world, he says, sacrifices and oblations you did not desire, but with a body you have clothed me. There you go. The spirit of clothed in the flesh is Yeshua, and the entire burnt offerings for the blindnesses you have not required. Then I said, you must see and read it for yourself. I come in the sum of the books, the conclusion of the books. It is written concerning me that I will do your will, Yahweh. Above, he said, victims and oblations, and entire burnt offerings for blindnesses you have not willed, those which are offered in the shelter, the lower shelter. And afterwards he breathed, you must see and read it for yourself. I come that I may do your will, Yahweh. In this he hath done away with the first, that he may establish the second. For by this his will we are sanctified by the offerings of the body of Yeshua, Moshiach, which was once. For every high Amen priest in the eye of the return who stood and ministered every day, every Dayel, offered the same sacrifices which can never purify from blindnesses. But this priest in the eye of the return, that's the light, one sacrifice hath offered for blindnesses and darkness, and hath sat down at the right hand of Yahweh forever. At the right hand means, sat means to rule, ruling by the power of Yahweh forever. Forever. That's an amazing notion. Forever. Waiting from henceforth. You see, this is another reason we don't want to get caught up in this illusion, this temporary illusion when we have a battle to win for eternity. That is the battle, ladies and gentlemen, right there. Waiting from henceforth until his adversaries are set down as a footstool beneath his feet. They're already there. They're dead, and they're in the outer darkness. They've got nothing but misery. They're having a party, but the joke is on them, you see. For by one offering he hath perfected those who are sanctified through him. Sanctified meaning set aside, through him forever. Now, the witness, the witness unto us is the Esha of purity when he breathes. This is the covenant that I will give to them from after those days, saith the Yahweh. I will give my law into their minds, and I will put upon their hearts. I will inscribe it. Boy, that's quite a. I'm going to highlight that one. That's a very different reading in the Aramaic here. I'll read that one again. Let me just highlight it first. I will put my law, give my law in their minds, and in their hearts I will inscribe it. And that's second part of verse 16. And their iniquity and their blindnesses I will not remember against them. But where there is remission of the blindness, remission means it's out of here. There is not required an offering for blindness anymore, because we stopped doing those things that kept us in darkness. We have therefore, my brothers, confidence to enter into the only true anointed place through the blood of Yeshua, and a way of life which he hath now made new to us through the veil, which is his flesh, the Meitzar, the Mazor. Okay, the flesh is creation itself in the great truth. You see, because he is all things. And we have the Amen priest in the eye of the return over the house of Yahweh. Let us for this reason draw near with a confirmed heart and a full security of victory of light, with our hearts sprinkled and cleansed from a blind conscience, and our body washed with the pure waters of truth. Okay, water is a symbol of truth, and it's an implied statement there of, let me write it, truth. And let us persevere in the confession of our hope, and not swerve, for loyal is he who hath promised us. Promised what? To give us his Esha Sphire, his spirit, his pure spirit, his essence of his own self, when we have thrown out the darkness. And let us consider one another with incitement to charity and perfect works. And let us not forsake our gregation, our coming together, as is the custom with some, but create light one for the other, and so much the more as you see the day to be approaching. What day? The day of your fulfillment within this great mystery of receiving the great breath of the wind and fire. Once you are done with it, once you are done with this world. For if with his will any Eshan will close his eyes again after he has received the knowledge of the truth, there is still not a further sacrifice to be offered for blindnesses, but a fearful judgment to come, and a burning fire which devours the adversaries. For if he who transgressed the law of Moesha upon the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, and they died without mercy, how much of a greater punishment do you think shall he receive who hath trampled upon the seed of the Son, and hath counted the blood of the covenant by which of him by which he had sanctified as that of every Eshan, and hath insulted the Spirit of grace, the Spirit of the favor for all? We know him who hath said, retribution is mine, and I will repay. And again, the Yahweh will focus light upon his people. How terrible to fall into the hands of Yahweh, the living. Verse 32. Almost done here. And be mindful, therefore, of the first diels, of those in which you received the alphabetizing, the baptism, and when you sustained a great agony of suffering, of trials and testing, because you don't waltz into the kingdom of heaven, you will be tested with ignominy and affliction. And when you were made gazing stocks, everybody was pointing at you, laughing, and were associated with men who were who also endured these things with others, and it afflicted you on account of them who were bound, and the pillage of your goods with joy you sustained, as knowing that you have in possession of the light of the sun, which is better and does not pass away. Destroy not, therefore, the confidence which you have, for which there is a great reward. But patience is what you have need of, that you may do the will of Yahweh, and therefore in the end receive the promise, and that is your fulfillment. Because yet in a short time, in a very little time, he who comes will come, and not be slow. How does he come? By Spirit, because he's already here. He's just waiting to enter us after we can get the garbage out. That's what it comes down to, ladies and gentlemen. But the just live by the victory of light in me, and then they will live. But if he becomes weary, my soul will not delight in him. But we are not of those who faint in weariness, which bring back to perdition, but believe in the victory of light, follow in the victory of light, which makes us to possess our soul, the soul redemption, ladies and gentlemen. And you heard it here first, of course, ladies and gentlemen, and want to thank you for tuning in today. And I certainly wish for your victory of light, to realize that there are two worlds here. There's the infinite, there's the temporal. Which one do you want? You can't have both. You can only have one or the other. It's a choice. He says that we have ceased from our own works within him, and the battle is his. And so the great work and the great battle is to comprehend the truth and the true nature of things, and to make the connection. As he says to love your neighbor as you love yourself. Well, obviously this love that we have for self, whatever that is, his love for us is even greater. If he made us like a father loves their little boys and girls, they love their babies. Certainly this love that is there, this Trevane love, the divine love that we're called to live by, is a profound love. But therefore we would want to know the one who is the author of life and love and truth and all creation. So, okay, there you go. And it was great to spend time with you today. I'm so grateful that so many of you jumped in and participated with us. Jet, thank you for your call. And just want to share with you, what is so important to me. It's been a life journey, and I'm not there yet. I'm still working on the inner, and I'm so grateful for the Father of light that is so patient, patient with a piece of work like me that is so difficult. I was at the greatest disadvantage just being neglected, but boy, I can't imagine those who have been abused. How will they get over? But the truth is, at the lower end of the spectrum you are, the greater potential you have to transcend this world. That's the good news. No matter, if you've been beaten up and everything, then that's in your advantage. Take advantage of it, and make that your springboard. Okay, and so again, thank you for Yo Engineer Shelley. She does such a great work, and just. Love and Lynn and everybody else, just grateful that Shannon for stopping by. And we'll be on tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Time with Ninja Cat 111 on Forbidden History Chronicles, and then again Sunday in the evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Forbidden History Live again, right here, playing it one more time for all of you. So hope you do tell your friends and you come on back and see and read it for yourself. And do tell a friend, won't you? And so don't forget, I'm Dezert-Owl telling you, if you want to know the future, then you need to look for the forbidden history, because it's all right here. It's what they didn't want you to know, certainly, that we tell, right? And don't forget, we are all doing time. And it doesn't matter whether you're on the inside or on the outside, because we are all doing time. And for some of us, it's hard time, and we're never going to get over the pain. We just have to learn how to deal with it. And that's what we do as well, right here. So come on back. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Dezert-Owl. Peace and love. Tell a friend.